Did you know that there are everyday objects that may be affecting the peace of your home without you realizing it? Today, we will talk about something very important that Padre Pio taught us: how certain objects and customs can distance us from God and open doors to negative energies in our homes. Padre Pio used to say that a Catholic home should be a refuge of peace and holiness, but often, without meaning to, by decorating or following family traditions, we may introduce elements that go against our faith. He insisted that we must be attentive to these small things, which may seem harmless but can have a deep impact on our spiritual life. To activate this special protection from Padre Pio, you can write in the comments, "My home is protected by the love of Padre Pio." Imagine your house as a spiritual garden. Just as you would not allow weeds to invade it, you should not allow certain elements to contaminate the atmosphere of your home. Padre Pio taught that every object has a spiritual meaning, and today we will discover which elements we should identify and remove. In my experience accompanying Catholic families, I have seen how simply eliminating certain objects has completely transformed homes. I have witnessed families going through difficult times finding peace by following these teachings of Padre Pio. That is why I want to share these valuable lessons with you. In the next few minutes, we will reveal 10 elements that, according to Padre Pio, should not be in a Catholic home. You will learn to identify them and, most importantly, what to replace them with to strengthen your family's spiritual protection. Pay close attention, because what we are about to share can completely change the spiritual atmosphere of your home. As Padre Pio used to say, "Where there is order and peace in the home, God dwells." Get ready to transform your house into a true sanctuary of peace and protection. Now, let us talk about the first elements that Padre Pio warns us we should avoid. These are objects that we often buy or receive as gifts without knowing their true meaning. One of the most common is elephants in a row with their trunks raised. It is believed that they bring luck or abundance, but Padre Pio teaches us that Catholics should not trust in amulets or talismans to attract good fortune, because our trust should be placed solely in God. Another element is crystal pyramids, or pyramids made of any other material, which are often associated with esoteric and energetic practices that are incompatible with our faith. As Padre Pio said, we do not need magical objects when we have the protection of God and the Virgin Mary. We also find the hand of Fatima, or the Turkish eye, which many people use as decorations without knowing that these symbols belong to other religions and beliefs. Padre Pio reminds us that Catholics have their own sacramentals of protection, such as the crucifix and the St. Benedict medal. Another object to avoid is mandalas, which may seem like simple, colorful decorations, but originate from Eastern religions and are used in spiritual practices that are not compatible with Catholicism. For meditation, Padre Pio taught us that we have the mysteries of the Rosary and the Holy Scriptures. Decorative Buddhas are another object we should reconsider having in our homes. Although they are very common in decoration stores, they represent a deity from another religion. Padre Pio reminds us that we should not have images of other gods in our home, as this goes against the first commandment. We should also avoid objects such as dream catchers, horseshoes, and four-leaf clovers, as they are associated with superstitions that distance us from the true faith. As Padre Pio said, the best protection for a Catholic home is prayer and the sacramentals of the Church. What about the red horns or chili peppers that many people hang in their homes or businesses to ward off envy? Padre Pio teaches us that these superstitions have no place in a Catholic home, because true protection comes from God and our faith in Him. Another object to avoid is colored candles with esoteric symbols or inscriptions, although candles themselves can be part of our faith practices if used with the right intention. In every decision we make about what enters our home, we are shaping its spiritual atmosphere. As Padre Pio taught, it is not just about removing objects, but about filling our home with God's presence through prayer, faith, and the appropriate sacramentals. By doing so, we transform our house into a refuge of peace, where divine love can fully dwell. Our Catholic faith teaches us to be careful with the elements we allow into our homes, as everything around us influences our spiritual life. It is important to ensure that the objects we use for prayer and devotion have been blessed by a priest and are part of the Catholic tradition. Padre Pio warned us about the dangers of certain practices that, while they may seem harmless, can lead us away from God. For example, paintings or images with zodiac symbols and astrological charts are elements we should avoid. He was very clear in stating that our lives are not determined by the stars or planets, but are in God's hands. Another element to consider is water fountains or artificial cascades with feng shui symbols. While many seek harmony in their homes, Padre Pio reminds us that true peace comes from living according to the teachings of Christ and the Church. If you discover that you have any of these objects in your house, do not worry. The important thing is to identify them and replace them with elements that strengthen our faith. As Padre Pio said, every object in our home should bring us closer to God, not move us away from Him. It is essential that we remain aware of the cultural and religious influences that may enter our homes without us realizing it. Globalization and social media have exposed many families to practices foreign to the Catholic faith. While we must respect all beliefs, Padre Pio warns that we cannot mix them with our own faith. It is common to see homes with altars that combine Catholic images with elements from other religions, but this can create spiritual confusion. Our faith is complete in itself and does not need to be supplemented by other practices. We must pay special attention to so-called energy cleansings with incense or plants. While incense is part of Catholic liturgy, its use should remain within the Church's tradition and not be mixed with rituals from other beliefs. True spiritual cleansing comes through the sacraments and prayer. Similarly, New Age rituals such as card readings, communication with angels outside the framework of Catholic teaching, and transcendental meditation can open dangerous spiritual doors in our homes. It is also common to find ancestral healing ceremonies or shamanic rituals that may seem harmless. But Padre Pio reminds us that our healing comes from God through prayer, the sacraments, and the intercession of the saints, not from practices foreign to our faith. Before continuing with these teachings, I want to invite you to become part of this spiritual family. If these messages have touched your heart and you feel they help strengthen your faith, you can support this space by becoming a member of the channel. You can also share in the comments your testimony about how this knowledge has influenced your life. Now, let us continue delving into these valuable teachings from Padre Pio. Another important aspect is the presence of books or materials from other religions or sects in our homes. This is not about discrimination, but about preserving the clarity of our faith. As Padre Pio used to say, truth cannot be mixed with error. Additionally, we must be aware of celebrations and festivities that have pagan origins or meanings contrary to our faith. The Church has given us celebrations filled with meaning and holiness, and we should focus on them instead of adopting customs that do not belong to our Catholic tradition. But what about friends or family members who practice other religions? Padre Pio teaches us that we must love and respect them without compromising our faith. We can be welcoming and kind without allowing their practices to influence the spirituality of our home. It is essential to remember that respect does not mean adopting or mixing beliefs. The Catholic faith is complete and does not need to be supplemented with foreign doctrines. Now, let us talk about something that is present in our daily lives: the media and entertainment. With his wisdom, Padre Pio warned us about how these elements can affect the peace and holiness of our homes. One fundamental aspect is music. It is not only about the lyrics of a song, but also about the rhythm and the intention behind it. Music has the power to influence our mood and our spirituality, and Padre Pio taught us that it should elevate our spirit toward God, not draw us away from Him. Music is one of the most powerful ways to influence our emotions and our spiritual life. It is not just about the melody or the rhythm, but also about the message it conveys. Padre Pio warned us about songs that promote values contrary to our faith, as what enters through the ears reaches the heart. This is especially important if there are children in the home, as they are more sensitive to environmental influences. Likewise, we must be selective with what we allow on television and in movies. Programs that promote violence, cultism, or immorality can contaminate the spiritual atmosphere of our home without us realizing it. Popular TV series often captivate us with engaging plots, but little by little, they can normalize behaviors that go against our faith. Padre Pio reminds us of the importance of being vigilant about what we consume as entertainment. Video games also deserve attention, as some may seem harmless, but contain elements of excessive violence, occultism, or subliminal messages that contradict our Catholic faith. As parents and guardians of the home, we must be especially attentive to what enters our house through these media. Social media is another critical point. Today, we spend a lot of time on these platforms, and without realizing it, we may be absorbing content that does not edify our soul. Not everything we see on the internet is good or beneficial to our faith, so it is important to discern what we consume. This also applies to books and magazines. Materials that promote horoscopes, self-help based on beliefs foreign to Christianity, or ideas contrary to Catholic morality, should not be in a home that seeks God's presence. The mind feeds on what it reads, and Padre Pio taught us that our readings should strengthen our faith, not weaken it. Radio and podcasts can also influence our spiritual life. Some programs promote gossip, mockery, or inappropriate content, thereby contaminating the atmosphere of our home. As Padre Pio used to say, our ears should be open to messages that uplift, not to those that destroy. If you have ever felt uneasiness or a lack of peace in your home without an apparent reason, it could be due to the type of entertainment you are allowing to enter. Everything we see, hear, or read has an impact on our soul and the spiritual atmosphere of our home. But it is not only objects and media that affect the holiness of our house. Our attitudes and daily habits do as well. Padre Pio always emphasized the importance of modesty and decency within the home. Many times we think these virtues apply only when we are outside, but he insisted that we must also maintain them inside our home. The way we dress and behave within our household shapes the character of our children and influences their upbringing. The words we use also have power. Yelling, foul language, and aggressive expressions affect the peace of the home. When we allow vulgar or angry speech, we open the door to negative influences. That is why, even in moments of stress or anger, we must be mindful of how we communicate. Cleanliness and order in the home not only have a physical impact, but also a spiritual one. A clean and organized home reflects a harmonious soul and attracts the presence of angels. The type of friendships we bring into our home also influences our family life. It is not about judging others, but about protecting the peace of our home. Padre Pio warned us about the importance of surrounding ourselves with people who foster faith and Christian values. Likewise, the use of time is fundamental. How much time do we dedicate to family prayer? A home where prayer is absent is like a house without a roof, exposed to all storms. Prayer should be a priority in our daily lives, as it is the foundation of our relationship with God and the cornerstone of our family's spiritual protection. Respect, patience, and love among family members are essential. Padre Pio taught that love within the family is the best testimony of our faith. Therefore, we must avoid harmful habits such as gossip and backbiting. Speaking ill of others or fostering negative conversations contaminates the spirituality of our home. Our words should be used to bless, not to curse. Charity must also begin at home. We cannot be good Christians if we do not practice love and generosity with those around us. The way we treat our relatives and loved ones is a reflection of our relationship with God. Padre Pio invites us to live each day with humility, respect, and devotion, reminding us that our home should be a sanctuary of peace and holiness, where every action and every word reflect God's love. The way we treat each other within our home is a reflection of our true spirituality. We cannot consider ourselves good Catholics if we are not first good to our own family. Daily coexistence brings challenges, but Padre Pio taught us that the virtue of forgiveness is fundamental. Every home will have moments of conflict, but we must be quick to forgive and slow to take offense. A home where forgiveness is constantly practiced is a home where God dwells and is present in everyday life. Now we arrive at a very special part of these teachings, how to effectively protect our home according to the advice of Padre Pio. To do this, we must understand the sacramentals and Catholic practices that help keep our homes spiritually protected. One of the most important is holy water. Padre Pio always recommended having holy water at home and using it regularly. A simple way to do this is to place a small font of holy water near the entrance of the home and use it when leaving or returning. It is also advisable to have a container with holy water in the main rooms to bless the spaces and those who inhabit them. Catholic medals are another fundamental element for the protection of the home. The St. Benedict medal, which Padre Pio himself recommended, is especially powerful and can be placed on main doors or windows as a sign of protection. The miraculous medal is also important, reminding us of the maternal protection of the Virgin Mary. The crucifix is essential in a Catholic home, and according to Padre Pio, every room should have one, especially the bedrooms. It is not just a decoration, but a constant reminder of God's love and a source of protection for the family. As he said, where the crucifix is, there is protection. Another highly recommended practice is the enthronement of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary. This involves dedicating a special place in the home to their images and performing a family consecration ceremony. It is a gesture of surrender and trust in the love of Christ and the Virgin, who protect and guide the family. The rosary is also a powerful tool against evil. Having rosaries at home is important, but even more so is praying them daily as a family. Padre Pio taught that every Hail Mary is a blow against evil, and family prayer creates a spiritual barrier that strengthens the home. Images of the saints also play an important role in our faith life. Padre Pio recommended having images of saints we are devoted to, especially in bedrooms, as a way to remember their example and intercession. St. Michael the Archangel, for example, is a powerful protector of the home. However, beyond simply having these images, it is essential to maintain a prayerful relationship with the saints and ask for their guidance in our daily lives. The Bible should have a central place in the home. Padre Pio taught that the Word of God is a source of protection and wisdom, and that reading it regularly as a family strengthens the spiritual life of the household. It is not enough for it to sit on a shelf. It must be read, reflected upon, and lived. Blessed candles are also a valuable sacramental, especially for moments of prayer or special needs. It is important that these candles be blessed by a priest and used with the right intention, not just as decorations. Blessed incense can be used in moderation and according to the traditions of the Church to create an atmosphere of prayer and purification in the home. But beyond physical objects, a priestly blessing is a key element in the spiritual protection of the house. Padre Pio always recommended inviting a priest to bless the home, especially when moving into a new house or after difficult times. This blessing brings peace and renewal to the family. Having a small altar or prayer corner at home is another recommended practice. It does not need to be large or elaborate. but it should be a special place where the family can gather to pray and be in communion with God. As Padre Pio said, a home without a place for prayer is like a garden without flowers. However, the most important thing of all is that these sacramentals and practices should not be seen as mere amulets or superstitions. They are sacred tools that the Church gives us to strengthen our faith and protect our home. But they must always be accompanied by a sincere life of prayer and the practice of the sacraments. Padre Pio reminds us that the best protection for a home is an authentic and living faith, united with charity and love for God and neighbor. It is not enough to have religious objects at home if we do not live according to the commandments and teachings of Christ. Dear brothers and sisters, we have reached the end of these teachings on how to keep our homes protected and free from negative influences. I hope these lessons from Padre Pio are of great help in strengthening the faith in your families and turning each home into a sanctuary of peace, love, and prayer. Today, we have reflected on fundamental aspects of protecting and sanctifying our home according to the teachings of Padre Pio. We learned that it is crucial to pay attention to the objects we have in our home, as some may have hidden meanings or be related to beliefs foreign to our faith. As Padre Pio taught us, every element in our home should bring us closer to God, never distance us from Him. We also understood the importance of being mindful of what we allow into our home through media and entertainment. Music, television programs, books, and social media can influence the spiritual atmosphere of our home, so we must be selective about what we consume and share as a family. Another key aspect was the reflection on Christian virtues within the home. Modesty, humility, respect, charity, and forgiveness are essential values for building a truly Catholic environment. Padre Pio reminds us that these virtues should not only be practiced in public, but must be the foundation of our family life. Additionally, we discovered the spiritual tools the Church offers us for the protection of our home. Sacramentals, prayers, sacred images, and priestly blessings are powerful instruments that help us maintain a household strong in faith. However, we must remember that these elements are not amulets or superstitions. They are means of grace that must always be accompanied by a sincere Christian life, grounded in prayer and the practice of the sacraments. Padre Pio teaches us that the transformation of a home does not happen overnight. If you need to make changes, do not be discouraged. What matters is to begin with a firm intention and to maintain a constant desire to make your home a true refuge of peace and holiness. It is not just about removing certain objects or adding religious symbols, but about living our faith authentically in every daily action. Dear soul who has come this far, if these teachings of Padre Pio have touched your heart, I invite you to express your gratitude and share this message with others. Through small gestures, we can help more families receive these valuable revelations. If you wish to continue receiving messages of protection and wisdom, I encourage you to become part of this faith community. Together, we can build homes where peace and harmony become a reality. May the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary protect your homes. May Saint Joseph, the patron of families, intercede for you, and may Padre Pio from heaven bless each of your houses and families. If, while reading this, you have identified objects or customs in your home that may not align with the faith, do not worry. With calmness and serenity, begin making the necessary changes, trusting that each step you take in this direction will bring you closer to God. What is important is having the sincere desire to make our home a place where God is at the center and where His love reigns above all things. Let us always remember the words of Padre Pio. A home protected by God is a little piece of heaven on earth. May each of you make your house that sacred place where your family finds peace, protection, and love.